Applause. When God starts pouring provision into your life, when resources suddenly show up, when doors begin to swing open, and when money flows in ways you never even dreamed of, there comes a single moment that will decide everything that follows. It is not the moment you receive the blessing. It is not the moment you begin counting what God dropped in your lap. It is the moment you choose whether you will stay quiet, stay humble, stay wise, and stay low-key, or whether you will ruin everything God gave you with your own mouth, your own ego, and your own lack of control. Listen closely. The blessing itself is not fragile, you are. Music, and if you don't learn to control your tongue during seasons of plenty, you will swing the door wide open for enemies, for jealousy, for spiritual warfare, and for storms that could have been completely avoided if you had simply zipped your lips and kept your soul in check. Here's a holy truth you must grasp. When God releases money, it's not evidence that you've made it. It's a test to see if you're ready for what's next. Plenty of people beg for wealth, but the second God places something in their hands, they get louder instead of sharper. They start posting what should stay private. They start flexing what should stay protected. They start telling what should remain between them and God alone. And before they know it, their own hype becomes the very thing that invites destruction. Money simply amplifies whatever was already inside you. If you're wise, money makes you wiser. If you're foolish, money makes you 10 times more foolish. If you're disciplined, money strengthens that discipline. But if you're reckless, money puts every weakness on full display. This is exactly why God doesn't drop provision on everyone at once. He only releases it to those who can carry it without dropping it. Yet even after you receive it, God is still watching your next move, whether you will guard the blessing or trash it with noise. You have to understand the unseen realm around you. Not everybody claps when God promotes you. Not everybody celebrates your comeback. Not everybody is smiling when God finally opens that door. Some people were comfortable with your struggle but can't stomach your success. Some walked with you when you had nothing but vanished the moment you start rising. Some stayed close when your pockets were empty, but the minute money shows up their energy shifts, their tone changes, their eyes grow cold. That's why you must master the sacred discipline of silence. Silence guards what you're building. Silence conceals what God is forming inside you. Silence shields you from evil eyes, envious spirits, and opportunists who will try to pluck the blessing before it's ripe. When God sends money, it's not time to announce, it's time to manage. Not time to flaunt, it's time to plan. Not time to show off, it's time to secure. And if you ignore this principle, you will lose the very thing God gave you to change your life forever. There's a reason God often lifts people in secret. He works quietly because massive blessings demand privacy. Roots grow underground before branches reach the sky. Seeds mature in darkness before they break through into light. In the same way, your financial harvest has to establish deep roots in hidden seasons before it can survive public exposure. Don't be in a hurry to show the world what God is doing. Let it grow. Let it mature. Let it anchor. Because if you expose it too early, the winds of envy will rip it out before it ever stands strong. When God releases money, the first command is not spend, it's stabilize. Stabilize your mind. Stabilize your habits. Stabilize your circle. Stabilize your emotions. Because nothing attracts manipulation faster than fresh money in the hands of an emotionally unstable person. Wealth demands maturity. Wealth demands self-control. Wealth demands the strength to say no when every feeling screams yes. It requires the discipline to hide your progress even when you're dying to post it. It takes the power to walk quietly while everyone else is making noise. People don't lose blessings because the blessing was weak. They lose them because their character wasn't strong enough to hold them. They let impulse override wisdom. They let excitement override restraint. They let people steer them instead of letting God lead them. And suddenly they're broke again, confused again, empty again, wondering where it all went. But the truth is painfully simple. Your blessing cannot survive in an environment you refuse to protect. There are seasons when God sends money not to upgrade your lifestyle, but to rebuild your foundation. God may be handing you money to break chains that kept you bound. God may be handing you money to repair what's been broken for decades. God may be handing you money to build something that will safeguard your future generations. But most people skip the foundation and rush straight to the flex. They upgrade their wardrobe instead of their character. They upgrade their ride instead of their responsibility. They upgrade their image instead of their integrity. And the blessing that was meant to be generational ends up being seasonal. Understand this: the enemy studies your reactions more than your resources. He watches what triggers you, what excites you, what distracts you, what breaks you. And the moment he sees that money makes you loud, he will attack you through the exact thing God meant to bless you with. That's why God keeps drilling humility into us, not weakness. Humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is fast. Thinking wisely about yourself. It is the power to handle blessing without letting the blessing handle you. It is the strength to walk in plenty without growing arrogant. It is the grace to remain grounded even when God raises you higher. When you stay quiet about your money, you protect your spiritual posture. You cut off needless chatter. You block prying eyes. You stop fake relationships before they start. You keep leeches from latching onto your harvest. Silence forces people to deal with your character, not your wallet. It quickly shows who really loves you and who only loves what they think you possess. Money is a tool, not your identity. It is a responsibility, not your personality. It is a blessing, but it is equally a test. The faster you grasp this, the sooner God can trust you with greater. Because God does not release wealth to attention seekers. God releases wealth to purpose carriers. Noise invites ruin. Silence invites revelation. When you talk too much, you lose direction. When you stay quiet, God gives instruction. There is holy discipline in silence. Silence keeps your heart pure. Silence keeps your motives clean. Silence keeps your vision aligned with heaven. When you speak too early, you invite opinions that were never assigned to lead you. You invite criticism that was never meant to correct you. You invite attacks that were never meant to touch you. Many battles you fight are not demonic. They are self-inflicted because you exposed seed before season. When God sends money, do not run to those who never believed in you. Do not chase validation from people who mocked your prayers. Do not try to prove a single thing to anybody. You owe zero explanation to doubters. You owe zero display to those who laughed while you cried. You owe zero performance to those who ghosted you in the valley. God did not bless you for their applause. God blessed you for His assignment. Your blessing is not content for their entertainment. It is not a stage. It is not a flex. It is a sacred deposit, and every valuable deposit demands protection through silence, security through secrecy, and growth through wisdom. Never hand your financial blessing to people who already mishandled your emotional peace. If they broke your spirit, they will break your storehouse. If they couldn't celebrate your potential, they cannot steward your prosperity. When money arrives, your circle matters more than ever. You cannot rise while tied to drainers. You cannot multiply while surrounded by small thinkers. Some people only know survival. They will never understand stewardship. They will push you to spend what God said save. They will push you to flaunt what God said cover. They will push you to post what God said protect. They will mislead you with good intentions. That is why God often removes certain people before He releases the blessing. Separation is preparation. But most fight the removal, not knowing God is shielding them from future sabotage. When God shifts people out of your life, it is not punishment, it is protection. He is clearing the room so your seed can grow without thieves. When you stay quiet, you give God space to move. You give God room to speak. You give God control over your next step. Money has a voice, and if you are not anchored in prayer, it will never speak louder than the Holy Spirit. But when you stay silent, when you stay humble, when you stay dependent, you keep the upper hand. Money serves you instead of you serving money. Here is the divine law: the louder you get, the more access people demand. The quieter you stay, the more access God grants. God is drawn to stillness. Your next level will not arrive on noise. It will arrive on obedience. It will arrive on strategy. It will arrive on the quiet confidence of someone who knows God alone is the source. And this is where most fall. They shift their trust from the blessing instead of the blesser. They begin to feel self-sufficient, forgetting that money can vanish in a moment. God is not against your wealth. God is the author of wealth. But God will never allow the gift to become your God. If you start worshiping what He gave you, He will remove it to save your soul. Silence keeps you anchored. Silence reminds you who the real provider is. Silence guards your spiritual alignment. Money can make you feel strong, but silence makes you truly powerful. Money can open doors, but silence keeps those doors from being kicked in. Money can build your future, but silence keeps your future from being destroyed. So when God provides money, the very first question must be, Lord, what is your purpose for this? Not, how do I want to spend this? Not, how do I want to show this? Not, how do I want people to see me now? But, what is the kingdom assignment attached to this increase? Every blessing carries a mission. Every provision carries a mandate. Every increase carries a divine direction. And if you add to chat, fail to grasp the purpose behind your provision, you will mishandle what God gave you. Money sent for growth should not be spent on amusement. Money sent for security should not be spent on flaunting. Money sent for legacy should not be wasted on pleasing people who ignore your destiny. When God releases money, your impulses will be tested. Your cravings will be tested. Your growth will be tested. And the test is straightforward. Can you stay silent until God finishes what He began? Many people fail this test and squander the blessing before it bears fruit. They sow a seed of blessing but uproot it with their own words. They start solid but crumble because they shared it with the wrong crowd. They exposed their progress to eyes that wished for their failure. They revealed their plans to hearts that never backed their success. And they wonder why everything collapsed. You must guard your financial blessing like a fragile infant. You do not expose an infant to brutal elements. You do not leave an infant with unknown people. You do not carry an infant to every place you visit. You shield it, cultivate it, and let it develop in security. Your money, your dreams, your financial victory must be handled with the same care. Silence is not frailty. It is wisdom. It is divine insight. It is inner maturity. It is the sign of someone who knows that God is building something greater than what meets the eye. Silence breeds mystery. Mystery breeds security. Security breeds endurance, and endurance breeds inheritance. When you stay quiet about your money, you give yourself space to reflect, space to prepare, space to strategize, space to see the whole vision. People who speak too early, decide too hastily. People who boast too quickly lose sight. People who declare their blessing before it is firm, invite needless stress. But when you stay silent, you gain space to fortify the blessing, to expand it, to oversee it, to advance it without disruption. When God releases money, the wise do not amplify their show. They amplify their restraint. They save, they invest, they structure, they prepare for tomorrow. They create safeguards that secure the blessing. They shatter family cycles. They establish order where there was once disorder. They use money as a means for liberty, not a tool for pride. Money is a helper, not a ruler. It is designed to serve you, not dominate you. When God releases money, you must ask yourself, will this money support my future or undermine my future? Will this money fortify my life or weaken my life? Will this money help me create or pull me away from calling? Your answer decides whether the blessing expands or vanishes. When God releases money, thankfulness must be your stance. Thankfulness keeps the heart tender. Thankfulness keeps the soul pure. Thankfulness keeps the blessing streaming. But thankfulness does not demand noise. Thankfulness does not demand public declarations. Thankfulness is subtle, modest, deeply anchored in the knowledge that God is the giver of every perfect gift. Be smart with what God grants you. Be smart with what God puts in your grasp. Be smart with every chance, every asset, every unlocked door. Wisdom is not proven through splurging. It is proven through management. And the strongest proof of management is the skill to safeguard what God assigned to you. When God releases money, stay silent, stay committed, stay anchored, stay vigilant. Let your deeds speak louder than your declarations. Let your advancement speak louder than your updates. Let your restraint speak louder than your urges. Let God direct you move by move. And as you remain silent, restrained, and in tune with God, you will see the blessing expand. You will see the provision increase. You will see your life steady. You will see chances emerge. You will see doors unlock that you never anticipated. Because God honors those who can steward His blessings smartly. God expands those who defend what He supplies. God promotes those who move quietly while He operates boldly in the background. When God releases money, there comes a stage where you start to see that the blessing itself is not the complete wonder. The real wonder is the change that occurs within you as you learn to oversee what God entrusted to you. And the further you dive into this path, the more you realize that wealth is not merely a material change. It is a holy mission. God does not drop resources in your grasp without demanding growth in your soul. The money may alter your situation, but insight must alter your essence. And if you do not mature inwardly, the outward blessing will never become lasting. People often wonder why God showers some people richly and others gradually. The answer is not bias. It is readiness. God gives based on what you can bear, not based on what you crave. Many people crave financial victory, but their nature would buckle under the load of plenty. God will not let money ruin you. So before God drops wealth in your grasp, God inspects your thoughts, your restraint, your motives, your connections, your emotional buttons, your daily routines. God assesses whether your heart can stay stable when your hands become loaded. And if the heart is not yet prepared, God postpones the blessing not to harm you but to shield you. This is why silence is so vital. Silence is not just a tactic for defending your blessing. It is a training ground for strengthening your spirit. Silence teaches patience. Silence teaches humility. Silence teaches self-control. Silence trains you to move by wisdom instead of by emotion. Silence keeps you anchored in God instead of being swept away by the world's chaos. When God sends money and you choose silence, you give your spirit space to grow, to mature, to prepare for the heavier mantle that always follows greater increase. Money doesn't just test your wisdom, it tests your relationships. The moment you begin to rise, you will see people's true colors like never before. Some will suddenly feel entitled. Some will turn demanding. Some will grow bitter. Some will pull away. Some will smile in your face while secretly competing. God permits this revealing so you clearly know who belongs in your future and who must stay in your past. Your blessing will expose hearts in ways your brokenness never could. Lack shows you who will stand with you. Abundance shows you who was only comfortable when you stayed on their level. This is why you cannot broadcast everything God is doing. You cannot post the new income, parade the new deals, or announce the new direction. Some people are not spiritually mature enough to rejoice with you. They see your blessing as their lack. They view your elevation as their demotion. They take your growth personally, as if your rising somehow pushes them down. So God commands silence, not out of fear of people, but because not every heart is assigned to your destiny. When God releases money, one of the biggest tests is how you handle the sudden expectations. Some will act as if your blessing is community property even though they never walked through the fire with you. Some will demand financial help with zero accountability. Some will ask for loans they never plan to repay. Some will guilt-trip you for being blessed while they stay stuck. Remember this, you are not obligated to rescue people from the consequences of their own choices. God did not bless you to become a replacement for someone else's discipline. Compassion does not mean enabling. Generosity does not mean letting others bleed your blessing dry. Wisdom knows when to give and when to protect. The more God increases you, the stronger your boundaries must become, not walls, but wise, firm boundaries. Boundaries guard your peace. Boundaries guard your purpose. Boundaries guard your provision. A person without boundaries will always be exploited by those who smell weakness. Predators can sense no boundaries the same way sharks smell blood. If you cannot say no, you will lose everything God just gave you. If you cannot walk away from draining relationships, you will self-destruct your own harvest. If you cannot separate emotion from responsibility, you will carry weights God never placed on you. Hear this clearly. God does not bless you to become someone else's escape route. God blesses you to break cycles, not to carry people who refuse to break their own. God blesses you to secure your future, not to bankrupt it proving loyalty to the wrong voices. Mishandle this and you will end up in a wilderness God never planned for you. When God releases money, the next phase is cultivation. Money is seed. Seed must be planted, watered, guarded, and patiently managed. You don't plant today and expect a forest tomorrow. You cultivate quietly, consistently, intentionally. You check the soil. You adjust your habits. You redirect focus. You cut distractions. You protect what is growing. You build slow but solid. Wealth is never built by excitement, it is built by discipline. It is guarded by patience. It is multiplied by deliberate strategy. Many think wealth comes from brilliance, yet plenty of brilliant people stay broke. Many think wealth comes from opportunity, yet countless opportunities are wasted. The real root of lasting wealth is discipline. Discipline will carry you where talent alone never could. Discipline will protect you when the hype dies. Discipline will turn one blessing into a multitude. God does not multiply careless hands. God multiplies mastered hands. This is why silence is priceless. It gives you space to practice discipline without the crowd pressuring you to perform. Another layer of wisdom is recognizing seasons. When God sends money, you must discern. Is this harvest season or preparation season? Sometimes God gives money to store, not to spend. Sometimes God sends resources to position you for something bigger coming. Sometimes God deposits now because a major assignment is ahead that will demand capital. But if you mistake preparation season for party season, you will destroy tomorrow's breakthrough today. The wise do not live by feeling, they live by season. They store in plenty. They build in opportunity. They watch in uncertainty. They move only on divine timing. Money becomes a tool to navigate seasons wisely, not to feed temporary urges. Desires. Emotions pass, but seasons shape your future. When you let feelings drive your spending, you step out of the divine timing God is orchestrating. When God releases money, another major test appears, the test of self-control. Money hands you options, and options can destroy the undisciplined. Before the blessing you had few choices. After the blessing you may have too many. Too many choices can overwhelm a mind that lacks focus. You must know yourself inside out, your triggers, your impulses, your blind spots. If you do not master yourself, the blessing will expose every crack you tried to hide. Money does not create flaws, it reveals them. And if you refuse to face them, those flaws will devour your harvest. This is why God drills discipline into you during seasons of lack. He uses struggle to prepare you so abundance does not ruin you. Hardship teaches restraint. Delay teaches patience. Closed doors teach dependence on God. These are not penalties, they are training. They are the foundation that will hold the weight of increase. Skip the training and the blessing will crush you. When God releases money, humility becomes your strongest shield. Humility keeps you steady. Humility keeps you teachable. Humility keeps your heart clean. Pride is the quickest way to lose everything God just handed you. Pride invites downfall. Pride draws enemies. Pride blinds you to truth. But humility draws divine direction. Humility stabilizes the blessing. Humility keeps you connected to the source. Staying quiet is an act of humility. It proves you don't need human applause to feel secure in what God did. Money tests your hidden thoughts. It tests whether you'll forget where you came from. It tests whether you'll look down on those still in the valley. It tests whether you'll abuse power. It tests whether you'll chase status instead of assignment. That's why God watches your heart, not just your budget. When God releases money, everything must upgrade: your priorities, your mindset, your circle, your decisions. You cannot think like the broke version of yourself anymore. You cannot operate from scarcity when God is shifting you into overflow. You cannot keep old habits that belong to yesterday's season. You must raise your thinking to match the new altitude God is pulling you to. The blessing will stretch you. It will demand growth. It will activate responsibility. It will force you to face yourself. It will push you to become someone greater. Financial increase will reveal your need for stronger systems, sharper planning, tighter emotional control. This is not just money, it is transformation. And the quiet person, the disciplined person, the wise person is the one who evolves into their highest self through the blessing. When God releases money, remember, not every open door deserves your yes. Abundance attracts counterfeit opportunities dressed as blessings. People will flood in with ideas, requests, deals, and big promises. But you must filter everything through spiritual discernment. God did not bless you to chase every shiny thing. Some doors are traps. Some doors lead to bondage. Some doors look profitable but pull you away from God. You must choose with heaven's perspective. Not everything that glitters is God. Not everything attractive is assigned. Not everything lucrative is legacy. Silence gives you the clarity. In quietness you hear God louder. In quietness you see motives clearly. In quietness you separate destiny from distraction. In quietness you weigh opportunities instead of rushing into them. When God releases money, move like someone who knows their assignment. Walk with calm authority. Move with quiet confidence. Handle the blessing with deliberate care. You do not owe the world proof. You do not owe anyone explanation. You do not owe spectators a front row seat. What God is doing in your life is sacred partnership between you and Him, not public entertainment. When God releases money, the real story is never just the wealth. It is transformation, alignment, and holy stewardship. The final lesson is this: money that comes from God is always a test of character, a measure of faith, and a tool for destiny. The blessing itself is temporary unless it is rooted in wisdom, humility, and silence. Those who rush to flaunt, to boast, to seek validation, or to feed fleshly cravings will watch the blessings slip through their fingers. God provides not for pride but for purpose, not for show but for strategy, not for indulgence but for eternal impact. The person who masters silence and wisdom understands that every dollar, every door, every resource is a sacred trust from heaven, and they guard it, grow it, and direct it exactly the way the owner intended. Has divine weight. They know that discipline turns blessings into generational legacies and that humility guards what prosperity alone can never protect. They know that money exposes the true condition of every heart around them and silence serves as both armor and compass, shielding them from envy, deception, and sabotage. They know that God is watching not just how you receive the blessing, but how you steward it, how you defend it, and how you grow through it. Wisdom wrapped in silence creates sacred space where provision can multiply undisturbed. Patience lets the harvest ripen completely. Gratitude keeps the heart tender, the spirit aligned, and the door open for greater increase. Boundaries shield the blessing from exploiters. Discernment guarantees every choice honors God's original intent. And humility anchors the soul in the truth that wealth is a servant, never the master, and that God alone is the source of every perfect gift. When you master silence and stewardship, you walk in a power no amount of noise or display can match. You move with quiet authority because your spirit is under control. You see with crystal clarity because your heart is tuned to heaven. You spot doors the loud, the impatient, and the reckless will never notice. And you become living proof that when God's provision is met with reverence, wisdom, and patience, it does not merely change your bank account, it elevates your entire existence, refines your character, and locks in your destiny. Remember, every blessing is temporary unless it is rooted in wisdom. Every provision is vulnerable unless it is covered by humility. Every increase is just a test unless it is fortified by discipline. The quiet, wise steward who handles money with eternal purpose protects their progress from envy and invites God to direct every step. That person does not merely possess the blessing possesses a future through them. They do not just enjoy increase, they multiply it, secure it, and deploy it for the kingdom's ultimate purpose. So when God provides money, burn this into your spirit: stay quiet. Stay wise. Protect the blessing. Honor the source. Manage with iron discipline. Walk in deep humility. Remain patient. Guard your heart. Guard your circle. Guard your choices. And trust that the same God who opened the door will keep it open, keep multiplying, and keep establishing everything He has placed in your hands. Because the quiet, wise, faithful steward is the one who turns a single season of blessing into a lifetime of legacy that no envy, no attack, no circumstance can ever destroy. This is the power of silence. This is the power of wisdom. This is the power of unshakable faith in God's timing and provision. And this is how the money God gives becomes far more than a moment of increase. It becomes a lifetime of transformation, influence, and everlasting fulfillment. When God provides money, the deepest revelation is this: the blessing was never designed to feed your flesh. It was sent to refine your spirit. God releases money to test your integrity, sharpen your discernment, and prove the depth of your faith. Money is a mirror. It magnifies whatever already lives inside you. If greed is there, money will amplify it. If humility is there, money will multiply discipline. If restlessness rules you, money will fuel chaos. But if your heart is surrendered to God, money becomes a weapon of expansion, a platform for purpose, and a pipeline to bless others without compromise. The wise know that every increase carries a weight far heavier than personal comfort. God provides money so you can build stability not just for yourself, but for every life, every vision, and every assignment He is preparing. God provides money to see if you can handle abundance without losing your posture of worship. God provides money to see if you can stay quiet while jealous eyes watch, while unfaithful voices whisper, and while opportunists circle. The blessing is never just about wealth. It is about whether you can remain faithful, disciplined, and aligned when your hands are finally full. The person who stays quiet knows that not every voice deserves access, and not every opinion deserves influence. When God's money hits your account, unsolicited advisors will appear, critics will multiply, haters will resurface, and some will secretly pray you fall. Silence becomes your fortress. Silence shields the seed from premature exposure. Silence lets you move in step with heaven while the world screams for a show. Staying quiet is not weakness, it is warfare. It is preservation. It is cultivation. And finally, the highest truth: God's blessing is never just for you, it is for your legacy. Money handled with wisdom and humility stops being currency and starts becoming destiny. It becomes the foundation for impact, the fuel for lifting others, the security for generations. The quiet, disciplined, faithful steward does not merely spend, they sow. They do not just receive, they multiply. They do not simply enjoy, they extend the kingdom. So when God provides money, let this be your unbreakable code: stay quiet. Be wise. Protect the blessing. Honor the source. Guard your heart. Guard your circle. Guard your choices. Guard your relationships. Let your character speak louder than your cash. Let your discipline defend what God delivered. Let your humility draw continual favor. Let your patience allow every seed to reach full harvest. And let your faith in the living God turn one blessing into an unbreakable legacy of transformation, influence, and eternal purpose that outlives you and glorifies Him forever.